Okay, so I broke out the 360. We're going to talk about the BR. So, probably most of you know this by now, but to get optimal outcomes with the BR, your first three shots should be to the body. And this resolution is really bad. I'm not really sure how this ended up so bad, but we can probably still use this to talk about why. A couple things. On the 360, this actually wasn't that important. Like when I was in my prime and just running roughshod over everybody on the game, probably like April of 2008. So the game actually hadn't been out for that long. Like, I'm pretty sure I hadn't even internalized this, the go to the body first and then the head, because I wasn't doing that on Halo 2. That probably works on Halo 2, but it was less important for sure. Probably just because of how the spread worked. Like, I can't quite remember because everybody was just freeballing, but because I don't think you had to do this on Halo 2. Halo 2, you just pretty much went for the head. And after playing more than 12,000 games of Halo 2 in 3 years, I was probably still in Halo 2 mode. I hadn't really internalized this new mechanic when I was really good at Halo 3. And that seems kind of weird, but for one, on vanilla, you're usually not going to get four shots anyways on the 360 because the aiming was hard and the frame rate was low and because it was local hosts, so you had terrible connections every game. Like 200 milliseconds was probably normal. That was probably like a decent connection, to be honest. It was so bad. And on vanilla, to get a four shot, every single bullet has to hit. So unless you were completely perfect or just got lucky because of how the latency worked in your favor, you weren't going to get four shots anyways. And like even now, I feel like if I was able to play with more intention, because I feel like usually I'm not, I would probably be able to get more four shots. Like I think it is possible with how the game runs now that a really good player can hit a lot of four shots. But it still seems really random to me. Like times when I feel like I did it perfectly, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a four shot, and then it just isn't. Or sometimes it just surprises you. Like you feel like your aim was totally off the guy, and then you just get a four shot anyways. On vanilla, it has to be perfect, and latency has a lot to do with it apparently because I feel like it's still pretty much random a lot of times. So for one, on vanilla on the 360, it was really hard to get four shots anyways. For two, you might get help while you're getting the kill. Like if somebody gives you one shot of help, it made no difference if you were going to the body or the head because somebody gives you that extra shot to take away the player's shields. So you're up one shot. So your third shot is the fourth shot, and you're shooting the person in the body. So you're not going to get the kill. So you end up needing five shots to kill him if you count the extra shot you get from your teammate. So it still takes you four. So if you had just shot them in the head the entire time and got the extra shot, you would still be killing them on your fourth shot. And on a lot of maps, hopefully you are getting help on a lot of your kills. So it doesn't really matter if you're going to the body first or not. If you get even one shot of help, you end up just wasting one shot to the body that's not going to kill the guy. And then three is kind of the same thing. If you run into somebody and they didn't have full shields, it's the same thing. If you had just been shooting them in the head, you might even kill them quicker. If you don't realize that they only had partial shields, it's not going to make a difference either way, again. But you should be able to shoot them in the body and then see their shields drop and then know you should go to the head. Maybe. I don't know. Some of this stuff I don't really think about so while I'm playing, so I don't really know how it works. Like I can't really think if you can tell somebody has slightly lower shields when they round the corner before you shoot them, or if you can just tell after you shoot them based on the strength of the shield flicker. But I just know that being really good at vanilla and not having internalized this had to be due to some reasons, and those are the best reasons I can come up with. And this is still even true today, so this actually isn't that important. But it is important now because the game runs a lot better, so you can get four shots, and you're going to get a lot more four shots if you go to the body three times and then one shot to the head. it's still important for 1v1s, especially, and at a high level, especially. If you're playing good players, you need to try and get some 4-shots in because they're probably going to 4-shot you. So we'll just kind of see how that works. It's kind of a misconception because you can see here that I put this on his head. So that's pretty much at the head, and I get a 4-shot. So you can just aim at the head, especially a little bit lower on the head, like the neck. So it's kind of a misconception because I can get a 4-shot just shooting him in the head. But it's because he's stationary. As soon as a player's moving, you're probably not going to land a 4-shot just shooting the head on vanilla. So that one again is kind of low. It's kind of the neck level. And that's getting pretty far away, and I'm still getting a 4-shot. So as you get further away, if you're not zooming in, your chances of getting a 4-shot go down. So I'm pretty sure, like here, I probably won't get this one. So yeah. So I probably won't get this one. I zoom in, that's like pretty close to being centered on his head. And 4 shots didn't kill him. But 5 would have. So still doing okay, just aiming for the head. So I'll go a little bit lower. Didn't work. So I'm probably missing under his arm. So there's like the chest. Still didn't work. That one worked. So that one's probably the 2 hash marks on my reticle are in line with his elbow, I would say, here. Where the elbow sticks out to hold the gun. So 3, and then up a little bit, and it gave it to me. So the farther away you are, the less likely you are to get a 4-shot, even if you're going to the body. So probably how it works, I would guess, is that it's really about how much of your reticle is over the player. If the player takes up your entire reticle, then all of the bullets are probably going to land. That's probably the best way to think about it. So this is kind of low. That's like the neck. And I get a 4-shot. So it doesn't have to be the body either. The neck level is really good because it also counts as a headshot. In fact, I feel like a lot of 4-shots don't work because you take the 4th shot too high. If you take the 4th shot too high up on the head, you're not getting all of the bullets to land in that last burst, so you're not getting the 4-shot. So probably 3 at like elbow level. I prefer the elbow level, but anywhere between the shoulder and the neck, which is about the same. Graphically, that's about the same. So the shoulder and neck to like the waist, even down to the waist works. And then if you're at an elevated angle, your shots are landing better. Like, anything can work. It's all about whether your target is filling up the entire reticle. That's really what determines if your bullets are going to hit or not. So yeah, shoulder to waist. The chest and in line with the elbow, I would say, is my preferred spot. That's where I'm trying to target usually. And then putting your 4th shot kind of low, more on the chin, not up high on the head. So that one seems pretty centered on the head, not a 4-shot. move it down to the chin or the neck. Not a 4-shot. Go low, kind of the stomach. 4th shot was kind of high. But the stomach shots probably weren't landing either. Weren't landing full. So there's like in line with the elbow. The hash mark on my reticle's in line with the elbow. But this one doesn't work. The 4th shot was kind of high. Pretty much centered, but still a little bit high. So these body shots and then a low shot on the head will probably work. I didn't mean to zoom in there. I'm not sure what I was doing. So yeah, hash mark in line with the elbow. And then a low 4th shot, and that worked. So you want the best coverage on the target, whatever that means as far as aiming at the player is what you should strive for. But the bullet spread might actually be kind of random within the circle. Like you could see on this last one, so that's why I like targeting the elbow level, because it looks to me like the widest part of the player model. But so for this one that I get here, you can see there's space between the reticle and the target. The target's not completely filling my reticle here, but I still get the 4 shot. But it might have been kind of random, right? That probably won't work 100% of the time. So there's just ranges where you're not going to get 4 shots. So here, 3 to the waist, and then a 4th shot kind of low. So the waist works. The legs work too. From the side, like you can have bullets go between somebody's legs and not get it, but I've gotten 4 shots shooting people in the legs before. So lots of different things can work. So that's on the head, but probably too high. A little off to the left too. So a lot of different things can work, but I feel like between the waist and the shoulder is the best. And probably like the elbow and the chest is probably best, I would say. But the neck works too. And then again, they're just showing like as soon as I'm up close, as soon as I'm below a certain range, I can just go for the head and get a 4 shot. So it's kind of a misconception. It's just that in a game situation, you're probably not going to get a 4 shot shooting at somebody like that because your shots have to be perfect. And then, yeah, even though there's a lot of ranges that we could go to on this map where you're not going to get a 4 shot even doing it perfectly, your shots will land better if you're going to the body. When you're at distances where you're not going to get 4 shots, you're going to get more 5 shots. Or your shots are going to land better and you're going to get more assists. So it's still best to go for the body just because it's bigger and the bullets are going to hit. More of the bullets are going to land. So pretty simple. So here I'm going for the elbow again. Or high on the head. That's a little bit high. So a little bit lower. Stomach. Didn't work. So elbow level. Went more head on. Elbow level. And then I guess that was high enough to get the neck. But so, I mean, even doing this test, like, at the ranges where the body shots are even getting me the 4-shot, I can probably just shoot him in the head and get a 4-shot. So, this really, it's important for like high level 1v1s, but for a lot of different reasons that I've talked about, it's actually not really that important in my opinion. There's a lot of things that you can improve on in Halo that don't have to do with the body head. But see, even there, like my reticle was quite a bit off of him. There was a lot of space there, but I still got this anyways. So I don't really know how the disbursement works or the magnetism or anything like that. You're going to get more 4-shots when you're close and more 5-shots when you're further away if you target the widest part of the body. So elbow and then a little high on the head didn't work. A little bit lower on the 4th shot worked. So I guess to summarize, between the waist and the shoulder is best for your first 3 shots, and then you want your 4th shot to be on the head but a little bit low. And probably optimal for the body shots is the elbow level. So that's the first part of the BR, is the body head. One thing we saw here too was that you're really not going to get 4 shots unless you're at really close range. And the range at which you stop getting them reliably, even on a stationary target, doing it perfectly, is pretty low. Like, I would classify that as like short to medium. That's short medium range in my opinion. Something like that. And it's not even working anymore. So it's really not as important as people make it out to be. But you should still strive for that because it is optimal and it is important when you play people who are good. But again, it's not usually going to work at most ranges anyways, even if you do it perfectly. And even when you're at ranges where you're doing things perfectly, unless you get the lead correct and the latency works in your favor, it might not work anyways. You can do it perfectly and it's just randomly working or not working. It's still pretty ridiculous that way. And then again, if they didn't have full shields when you started the engagement, or if you get any help during the engagement, then it doesn't actually matter if you started to the body or the head, because you're just going to waste an extra shot not killing them. So the second part of the BR is actually the much more important one, but it's also the simpler one, and that's the lead. The BR in Halo 3 is projectile, and you have to lead your shots. When the game first came out, people thought the shot registration was really terrible compared to Halo 2, and there was probably a lot of people who gave up on Halo 3 or moved on to different games before they even realized this, because it wasn't really common knowledge for quite a while. But yeah, you have to lead the BR. The amount that you have to lead your shots is determined by 4 different things. The first one is the angle that your target is moving relative to you, and that's just common sense. So if the arrow pointer is my target and they're moving like this, they're moving perpendicular to me, and that's when the lead is going to be the most, when you're going to need the most lead. If they're moving off at an angle like this, away from me, but off at an angle, the lead's not going to be as much. So that's the first thing. You need the most lead when your target is moving perpendicular to you, like this. Any change in that angle, or if they're coming towards me like this, if they're coming towards me diagonally, I'm not going to have to lead as much. So that one's common sense. The second one is speed. The faster your target's moving, the more you have to lead your shot. You've probably noticed this when people are on like a mongoose or something, and especially if they're far away, you have to lead your shots a lot. So the second one is speed. The third one is distance. The farther away your target is, the more you have to lead your shots. And then the fourth one is latency. This one was really big on the 360 because the latency varied so much with the different hosts. And that's one that really tripped people up. That gave me an advantage, I think, personally. Because the higher your ping is, the more you have to lead your shots. And I feel like a lot of people never really figured that out. And that's still true. The latency is so consistent now that I'd be surprised if people even realize that now. But yeah, the higher your latency, the more you have to lead your shots. And that made it really variable from game to game. So there's 4 variables, and it's not really possible to take them all into account and say, oh, in this situation, with the player being on foot facing me, so they're at a strafe speed, but they're not going perpendicular, and they're at such and such a distance, and my ping is 50. You're never going to know exactly what the lead should be, is my point, because there's just too much variety in the situations with the different variables. It's much more important to recognize if your shots are landing or not, and then adjusting your lead up or down. That's really the much more important skill. So again, the 4 variables: the angle your target is moving at relative to you, the speed of your target, the distance your target is away, and your latency. So the funny thing about this is that it actually adds up to one simple rule, and this is what I've always done, and it works really well. And that is the correct lead distance on a target moving perpendicular to you at full speed. So like if the pointer is my target, it's not somebody strafing perpendicular shooting at me. If they're actually turned towards the dish and running this way, the lead I'm always going to put on that target is to put the edge of the reticle, not the hash marks, but the edge. So just the circle. If you put this edge, or so if this guy's running this way, you need to lead your shots to the left. So I'm going to put the right edge of the reticle on this player's center line. So when I talk about player center line, it's an imaginary line running through the player, straight up and down, right through the center of their body. So the rule of thumb that covers all of this variability is when a target is moving perpendicular to you, running at full speed perpendicular to you, so not strafing with you, you want to put the edge of the reticle on their center line. And so what's great about this rule of thumb is that it gives you something really simple visually to shoot for, and that's the lead I'm looking for every time. And the great thing about this rule is that it works at every distance, which is funny because it seems like when your target's far away, you have to lead your shots more. And you do. Like, at long distance, the amount you're leading your shots is more. Like, if you're an inch off the guy at long distance, if you translated that into what the distance is in the game, it's like 10 feet or something, right? Whereas if you're really close to them and you have your reticle off them a little bit, it's like a foot of in-game distance, quote unquote. But visually on your screen, it's pretty much the same thing. So we'll take a look at that. So here, right in his face, let's say he's moving right, I would put the left edge of my reticle on his center line. And you can see if he was strafing that way, that would probably be decent. Those shots would probably land. So at this close range, I put the reticle on his center line. So back up, do the same thing. Let's say he's running that direction at full speed. I can put the reticle edge on his center line, and that's a pretty good lead. That will probably work. This is getting close to what I would call medium long range. That's right around where the rule is strictly true. Somewhere around this range, if that target were moving perpendicular to me at full speed, you would want the lead to be that full reticle distance, basically, where the edge of your reticle is on the center line. medium long distance, running forward, perpendicular, that lead's going to be accurate there most of the time, unless your latency is really bad. And so you can see at this distance, if that target were moving that direction, and I just follow the rule of thumb, that's probably going to be a decent lead, and that will probably work. So there at the end is getting into long range. And actually at long range, you might need to increase it from that. So to summarize, that's a good lead for medium long range for a target, which is about here. I would say this is medium long range. So this is about a distance where that rule is going to be strictly true. But on most maps, and even on this map, a lot of your engagements are going to be shorter range than that. And it's much more common to be shooting at somebody who's moving perpendicular to you, but they're strafing, and you strafe slower than you run. So with the ranges being shorter and it being more common that you're dealing with somebody strafing, or even somebody who you're like chasing or something who's not moving perpendicular to you, most of the situations that arise, the lead's actually going to be less than that. You're usually going to want to adjust it down. In most situations, the optimal lead is going to be a little bit less than this rule, but it gives you something really easy to try and cue into for your first shot, and then your second shot can be your good one. And these will mostly land following this one rule at pretty much every distance. So we'll just go through this one more time. And you can just kind of see, if you just imagine that target running that direction, you can see that that lead would probably work pretty well. And again, same thing at this distance. Like, that's going to hit that guy if he's running that direction full speed. But again, most situations you're going to want the lead to be a little bit less than this. This is just a way to simplify it. And it's funny because with all of the variables and all of the variability that's going to exist in the different situations, this is still like just kind of accurate for everything. So pretty simple. And it's funny because I mean, I haven't watched a lot of these type of videos, but I've never seen a video have like a rule of thumb like that. People just say, "Oh, you're supposed to lead your shots," but then they never tell you how much. And so that's how much. Edge of the reticle on center line, but the optimal lead is going to be less than that most of the time. So you're going to want to experiment with that, and you'll find like how much less than that is going to be appropriate for each situation. And I guess that's the thing, is there really is no optimal amount. It is slightly variable depending on the situation. So yeah, no matter the distance, if they're moving perpendicular, you can pretty much stick to that rule and you'll be fine. And then again, the most important thing is to recognize if the lead is correct and then adjust it accordingly.